Hello, and welcome to the Feedback Loop, where we break down the complex reality of human interaction. I'm your host, Franz, and today we're discussing a scenario involving workplace communication, hierarchy, and cultural clashes. For our Purposive communication project, I'll analyze a moment of tension that occurred during a project critique. We'll look at the elements, characteristics, and cultural factors that turned simple feedback into a significant misunderstanding. The scenario is a one on one meeting between an American intern and a senior Filipino supervisor regarding a proposal for a new digital marketing campaign. Let's set the scene. The goal was to review a digital marketing proposal drafted by a supervisor. Mr. De La Cruz, I, the American intern, had been asked to provide my thoughts, specifically areas for improvement. The meeting started cordially, but when it came time for my input, I adopted a very direct style. I opened with Mr. De La Cruz. I think this budget is too low and the timeline is unrealistic. We need to completely restructure Section 3. Immediately, the atmosphere shifted. Mr. De La Cruz became noticeable, quiet, his body language closed off, and he ended the meeting abruptly, simply saying, "Thank you for your thoughts, I will review them." My clear, direct feedback was meant to be helpful, but it clearly didn't land that way. I was left confused about how my communication had caused offense. Looking at the elements of communication, I was the sender and the encoder, framing the message, the budget and timeline need restructuring. With a low context, direct style, Mr. De La Cruz was the receiver and decoder. The crucial breakdown was in the decoding. He decoded my direct challenge to his work as a direct challenges to his authority and competence, not just the proposal itself. His nonverbal cues, the closed body language, and abrupt ending were his feedback. This scenario highlights communication as irreversible. Once those direct words were spoken, the supervisor's perception of me and the mood of the room couldn't be instantly reset. It also proved to be complicated. What seemed like a simple logical message to me was intertwined with years of cultural norms and organizational hierarchy for him. The heart of this misunderstanding lies in cultural communication. This is a classic cultural challenge of involving different in power distance and communication style. The heart of this misunderstanding lies in cultural communication. This is a classic cultural challenge involving differences in power distance and communication style. My American background often encourages a low power distance in the workplace, where even a junior intern can challenge a senior's ideas directly and transparently. I operated with a low context communication style, focusing purely on the literal content of the message. However, the Filipino culture generally is characterized by high power distance, valuing respect for seniority and status. Direct contradiction of a supervisor's work is often seen as an insignificant breach of a professional etiquette, possibly causing them to lose face or hiya. This cultural background required a high context communication style, meaning my feedback should have been encoded with far more politeness, indirect phrasing, and perhaps framed as a suggestion rather than demands. The culture of the organization itself form a cultural barrier that I failed to navigate. My analysis of this scenario proved that effective communication is never just about words. It's about the context, culture, and cues. What I learned about myself as a communicator is that my default setting is to prioritize efficiency over harmony, which can be disastrous in a cross cultural or high power distance setting. I need to develop stronger self awareness to just adjust my approach. Moving forward, my goal is to consciously practice cultural relativism in communication, understanding that effective feedback requires me to choose a channel and language that respects the recipient's cultural norms, not just my own. Thank you for tuning in to the feedback loop.